look at the Ratner project just over here behind us, and I think to myself, how could anyone do that to New York City? And that is what I see happening in Atlantic Yards in an even broader way, with the combination of a huge arena and towers that are going to completely dwarf the brownstone communities that surround them. And that's really the context of the lawsuit. What we're trying to do is to give the communities a voice in how this site is ultimately developed, and hopefully developing it in a different way. The litigation is not the best of all instruments. Politics is the best of all instruments. But when you have an administration like you have in New York City with its complete ties to the development community, and a state government which really isn't paying attention, and an Empire State Development Corporation that's largely lost its focus, litigation is one of the ways in which you can gain attention and hopefully stop this project. So this lawsuit is sort of a new battle in a war that's been running some time, and which will probably run on for some considerable time longer, but it's also new blood. The plaintiffs are new people who have finally decided that they've got to get involved, and that getting involved legally is the way to do it. So this lawsuit, get involved legally, I should have said, since they've been involved for many years before. So our lawsuit basically challenges the approval, as Joanne said, of the modified general project plan that ESD approved in September, and it does so on the grounds that the agency simply refused to look at the fact that this project is going to be delayed for 20 years or more, and that in the meantime you're going to have a barren urban wasteland stretching out, empty space with lots of parking lots and none of the amenities that were supposed to be a part of the project when it was first approved. Those changes should have caused the ESDC to prepare a supplemental environmental impact statement. In addition, the lawsuit says what I believe to really be the case. This isn't an ESDC project, this is a Ratner project. And ESDC has just handed over the keys to the entire kingdom to Ratner to do what he wants. ESDC is supposed to be a government agency that protects the public interest. Instead, they've handed the authority down to a private developer whose only interest is his own private interest. So those are our claims, and we filed the case this morning, and I'm looking forward to arguing before a judge in a month or so whenever we get there. And I'm optimistic that we can do something here. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Now, you know there's a somewhat similar case filed by Butzel just for Brooklyn charges. How would you compare and contrast those two cases?
Well, in terms of the Environmental Quality Review Act claim, I think they're very similar. We have, I think, detailed more of the impacts and spelled out the impacts at greater length than they had in the other case, but generally it follows the same path that lawsuit follows, and we assume that the two cases will be consolidated for that reason. But secondly, we have this additional claim that basically ESDC has surrendered governmental authority to the private developer, and that is not part of the DDBP case, and I think it's an interesting claim and one that truly reflects one of the major problems with this project, and I hope the judge will be interested in that.
The surrender of government authority to private developer, what specific statute would that be in violation of?
Well, the general idea of government is that agencies are created with particular powers, the ultimate goal being to exercise those powers in the public interest. They therefore have a public responsibility. In this case, ESDC, in theory, is supposed to be approving the components of the project, is supposed to be approving the timetable of the project, is supposed to be approving all terms of that sort. And in the modified general project plan, they've left that completely to Ratner. I mean, he can do whatever he wants on his schedule, and it can have anywhere between 300,000 feet and 1.6 million feet of commercial space, depending on what he decides he's going to do. information that